What's going on, guys? How are you? And welcome back to the channel. My name is George, and in today's video I want to talk about affordable watches and why I think you should collect them. This topic has been covered a lot on YouTube and everybody has their own opinion. I'm definitely pro affordable watches. It's a bit of a controversial topic because everybody has their own opinion, like I said, of what an affordable timepiece is, what affordability actually means, because different sizes of wallets. And I think that some people actually consider that buying a lot of cheap watches is not actually the right way to go. You should, instead of having that many cheap timepieces, you should have let's say 2 more expensive, more luxurious ones, and that would consist of your collection, or it would be much better. Like I said, I'm definitely pro affordable watches. If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't think that I would be here today, and I don't think that I would be I would have started my watch collecting journey. Nevertheless, I made 6 reasons why you should start collecting them, or you should consider them, and these are based on my experience. As I'm going through all of the reasons, I'll go really quick. I'll just stay on topic, won't stray away too far, and just to make this video really quick so I don't take too much of your time. But before I get into the reasons, it would really help if you click that subscribe button. It helps the channel, and as I'm sure you know how YouTube goes. And let's get into the rest of the video. And the first most obvious reason is the low cost of entry, or the cheap price, or the low cost, whatever you like to call it. I think when you buy a timepiece, or when you start collecting watches, the fact of spending a lot of money on a timepiece shouldn't put you off. And the fact that you can get a decent timepiece for under $100, and there's so much diversity out there, shouldn't put you off. And knowing that you're making the right decision, or you're still buying something decent, is it's a good option. Because like I said, when I started collecting watches about 2 years ago, when I started doing this a bit more serious, I bought like 2 or 3 cheap watches in like 3 weeks. So that's how I actually started. And if it wasn't for those cheap watches, knowing that I can get what I got for that amount of money, I wouldn't have started. Reason number 2 is diversity. You can appeal on a broader part of the market. And if you, let's say, decide to buy a dress watch, for instance, and you're not particularly happy with it, if I would have paid $15,000 for it, I would have thought about that dress watch for 2 years until I decide and until I settle at it, because after that I'm stuck with it, or I might be losing money when I'm selling it. But at the same time now, if I'm buying a watch that costs $300, if I don't like it, I can sell it and buy something else that I will like, or I will grow to like, or whatever. But the point that I'm trying to make is that I have an easier access to that part of the market, to a bigger, more diverse part of the market, where I can actually build the identity that I want, like I said, in my watch box. Reason number 3, they're easier to sell or easier to flip. And my theory and my logic behind this is, depending on, now that's a bit, you have to take this with a pinch of salt, because depending on whatever watch you buy, or depending on how desirable that particular watch model is, they are easier to flip. So logically speaking, if you sell something that's $150 as opposed to something that's $150,000 or $10,000 or so on and so forth, you are appealing on a broader part of the market. And it's because a lot more people would have $150 to spend as opposed to $150,000 to spend on a watch. Again, you have to take this with a pinch of salt, because depending on how desirable the watch model is, or depending on whatever you bought, it would be easier to flip. Reason number 4 is the low cost of maintenance. When you buy, let's say, a quartz piece, depending on whatever battery it has in it, if it's an Eco Drive, that's completely different. It will cost around $10 or $15 to change at your local shop, or your local watchmaker, or wherever you take your watches to fix. If you're a bit, if you kind of know your way around watches, you can actually change the battery yourself if you have tools, or you can even open the back yourself. I wouldn't encourage it, but at the same time you can. And if you buy something, let's say like an entry-level automatic movement, that doesn't cost a lot of money compared to something that costs a lot more to service. A Miyota A215, for instance, if you want to buy the actual movement online, you can go on eBay and you can buy it for $30 or $40, depending on where you get it from. You can't go online and buy a Rolex movement and swap the Rolex movement. That is not the way to do it. And you know, the maintenance, think about having a watch collection of 5 expensive timepieces, and think about, you know, sending all those watches to get serviced. I can't even imagine doing that. At the same time, if you do have 5 expensive watches, you probably have the money to service them. But the point that I'm trying to make again is it doesn't cost as much money to service. And as another example, the Seiko NH35 Workhorse movement, it is in most of the watches. If you buy some unbranded watches, I mentioned that in one of my videos, I'll post it somewhere around there. If you buy an unbranded watch, let's say off AliExpress, it'll cost you $70. You can buy a watch with $70 or even cheaper with that movement on. So if the watch actually breaks, it's easier for you to buy another watch as opposed to service or repair that movement. So there you go, the low cost of maintenance, a plus. Reason number 5, you don't have to save for a very long time. If you set your eyes on something that costs $500, depending on your income or depending on how long you want, not depending on how long you want to save for it, depending on your income basically, or how much you save per week or month, you don't have to save that much money. It's easier to reach something that's achievable, to reach a sum that is $500 as opposed to something that is $50,000 or $15,000. Or think about how much time you spent to save on a mortgage for a house. It's just here and there. It's a lot easier to save something for that, and in that way, if I want something, I don't have to wait for 2 years to get it. It's very, very simple. And the last and final reason, guys, if you made it so far, is 6. Yep, 6 is the damage. So again, if I break my watch that costs $70 or $100, I can go and buy another watch that costs $70 to $100 because I can find something like that. If I break my watch that costs $15,000, I would sell my car to get it serviced or fixed. If some people actually hold their watches in a safe, which is not a bad idea if you have something that costs a lot of money. And I don't want to, like, when I buy my watches to wear my watches. I don't buy my watches to keep in my watch box and look at them. I can't afford to do that. And what's the point of collecting something if you're not gonna, you know, again, that's a different topic for another video, but what's the point of collecting something that you're not gonna wear or you're gonna enjoy on your wrist, or you're gonna, you know, like you're buying shoes to just look at them, not to wear your shoes, or like, what's the point in that? And at the same time, if I have something on my wrist that I'll be really, really afraid to scratch or damage, or, you know, then I have to think about saving money again so I can fix it or service it, wouldn't be like, what's the point of having a watch that, you know, that you can't enjoy as much? And all the watches in my collection obviously have pieces that I don't like to get damaged, but at the same time, compared to something that would cost a lot more, the impact of it being damaged or stolen, even worse, wouldn't be as much and wouldn't be as big. And you know, I love watches, I love my watches, and at the same time, I want to wear my watches. I love when I'm getting compliments on my watches, even though people know that I'm a weirdo. Anyway, guys, if you have your own reasons, so it's loads and loads of them, and I think as watch collectors and as entry-level watch collectors, I think everybody has in their own head, has their own reasons why they do that. But these are my top 6, or my 6 reasons why you should start collecting affordable watches, or if you want to get into it. And I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Again, click down below, subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it so far, head over to my channel. It's a learning curve for everybody, and thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys again.